What's good? What's good, y'all? It's Friday night, a little after 7:30, but your boy's still in the house. Playcallers Sports Talk. What's going on, y'all?
Was
Y'all know,
good.
What's good? What's good? What's good?
y'all know it's been a busy week in the world of sports news, whole lot of happenings, whole lot of crazy things. So what we gonna do is we're gonna dive into them because that's what we do around these parts. But before we do that, real quick, new people, well, I'm put it like this. Let me rewind it. Old school, new school need to know this. This who he is. All right, and back at it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is real slick, real easy, and very simple. You know what that's going to be? We're going to talk about what happened in the world of college football today. We're going to talk about the preseason top 25 a little bit, but my man Stephen Box is going to fill us in on the details that's been popping off in regards to the Pac-12, and things are looking bad for them.
Yeah, man. I mean, we all already know that, they lost two teams to the Big Ten last year. And the conference realignment has been a big part of the conversation. Then last week, Colorado was like, hey, we're going to the Big 12. Deuces, we out. So now, today, it became pretty much official. The Big Ten has accepted Oregon and Washington, two of the big names that are left over there in the Pac-12. And if that's not bad enough, rumors are swirling that Arizona State, and Utah all have been in communication with the Big 12, and they are basically expected to be accepted into the Big 12 within the next 24 hours. So by the time we are finished with this, the Pac-12 might be down to 4 teams. There might not need to be a Pac-12 next week, guys. That's really where we are right now, which is crazy when you think about one of the most historic conferences in football. Teams that played in a Rose Bowl might just be completely disappearing before our eyes right now, this weekend.
That's really crazy, man. That's really crazy. Coach Dante, any thoughts on that, man?
Who going now? Who we got going to the Big Ten?
So Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten, and then Arizona State, and Utah are supposed to be going to the Pac-12 or the Big 12.
I kind of okay with it, even though for Oregon it may be a little difficult. It's going to be a lot difficult for them now. They're going up against some solid defenses in the Big Ten. They're going up against run oriented teams in the Big Ten, so expect it to be a little bit more difficult in the Big Ten for Oregon. I know Oregon's going to be able to score on the offensive side of the ball, but the problem is on the defensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, will they be able to stop the running game? Because Michigan is going to be able to run the football. Teams like Minnesota, they're going to be able to run the football. And also, the Big Ten got some of the best offensive lines in football too. So it's going to be interesting how that style of play will adjust to the Big Ten.
Well, don't forget too that not this season, but next season, the college playoff goes to 12. And the way things are headed right now, you end up with half of those 12 even from the Big Ten and the SEC.
Don't forget the Big 12. They go slide their bid in too.
Well, they'll get a couple. They're gonna get a couple to 12, yeah. Or at least one.
If the ACC can live through this season, they could probably get at least one in. But here's what I think is interesting about all this: how things coincide. 2024, we got a lot of teams moving around, right? Mm-hmm. Because even people that were agreed upon like a year or two ago, everything still happened in 2024.
Yeah.
So you got all these things starting in 2024. You got this 12-team playoff starting in 2024. The ACC has no choice but to do something different. Like for real, they have to do something. Figure out more money, get some more teams. I don't know what else they could do. I've said before the teams that I think the ACC should go after. Two of them are right in the backyard in the middle of ACC country. Appalachian State, West Virginia. You should go after those two schools, bring them into the ACC, right? They both have decent football programs, decent or better. So they should at least not lower the profile of the football side of things. But it's tough, Maybe you can try to grab some of those remnant Pac-12 teams because it sounds like there'll be many left. But you're gonna have to do something about this contract situation because the guy up top with the blue background here, his team is already not that pleased with what ACC has done. So it'll be interesting to see how the ending of everything plays out. But man, this is going to be interesting. And like Coach Dante said, some of these schools, it's going to be a little different playing in these new conferences. They're not going to be playing against other Pac-12 teams as much. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to see how it plays out. We always here to see what happens at the end and how everything shakes down. That's what we do on the Play Callers.
I will say this real quick. So one thing to note when you talk about the ACC, this is how bad this grant right deals they signed is. It is so long that not only is the Big Ten got the deal that they're signing right now, the Big Ten is going to be able to renegotiate their deal again before the ACC deal ends. That's the situation the ACC put their teams in.
The ACC was scared because of what Maryland did, right? Mm-hmm. And it caused them to panic and make a bad decision. I mean, we could talk about it all day, but we already know what happened. And it's just going to have to be smarter and you have to find a way to get more money. But the other problem is, and I was reading up on some of the other happenings. First, I want to shout out Rod. What's up, Rod? From Rod Uncensored for hopping in with us.
I hope Rod sticks around. I'm going to be curious to see his thoughts on a contract they got signed today.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing we talk about for sure. Just want to say, got to find a way to get more money in there, man. You got to get some more teams and get some more money because that's the only way you're going to be able to bring more money. But a lot of the networks, are struggling, right? You got ABC, Disney, laying off people left and right, ESPN, same thing. So they're struggling. So may not be as much money to go around, right? Pac-12 is trying to secure a deal with Apple TV. But I think what's going to happen with that is now with no teams, hey, if y'all would like Apple to give that deal to the ACC, we'll take it.
Yeah, the ACC, I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to basically get ESPN to agree to let the contract change and not be exclusive, where they can at least go sign deals with some other networks or something. That's the only hope ACC has, really.
Yeah. And I think ESPN won't care because ESPN probably treats them like a stepchild by now anyway. So we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, we could spend 2 hours talking on that by ourselves, and I know Coach Dante would be more than happy to indulge in it. But we got to get to this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So our next piece of business, you who may not have known or have been living under a rock, Anthony Davis, 3-year, $186 million max extension. This ties into the franchise through 2028 for a total of over $270+ million. Richest annual extension in NBA history is $62 million. So the way the contract breaks down, he was already signed for this year at $40.6 million. He had a early termination option for 2024 at $43.2. He's going to take that. Then the new deal starts in 2025, 2026. Yo, we got a Lakers fan here. We got at least one in the chat. I'm going to start with Coach because once we get Steven going with this one, this is going to be interesting. So, Coach, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on this new contract?
Well, if you're Anthony Davis, it's good for Anthony Davis. He got his money. But other than that, I don't know how much of an impact that that's going to play on the Lakers as far as winning and getting a championship. I don't know how that's going to be. And we already know he does have a injury history. He's going to go down at some point during the season. I don't think he would probably not play probably not play a 82-game season. He will not last that long, but other than that, you're basically hoping, if you're a Laker fan, to get even 60 games up out of them, or at least 67 up around there. But it's good for him that he got his money. I don't know how much it will benefit one of the team winning games. They still got a lot of issues. They got the same player. They still got the same players. They added more depth pieces, but I would not know if that would result in a championship. You got to worry about what you got to do with LeBron as well. LeBron is still there as of right now. So, he gives you no insight of what he's going to do, or if he's going to leave or going to stay. But other than that, Anthony Davis, you can be happy for him that he got his money. As far as team success, I don't know.
Yeah, for me, man, it's a lot of coins for a guy that has a lot of injury history. I think LA kind of didn't have a choice, if you want to say so. Only hope for LA, and, I'm not a Lakers fan. We know who I like, but the only hope for LA, because I'm trying to be a journalist here and look at all sides. The only hope for LA, in my thing, is if there's some type of early out clause for the team in those years. Because if that's not the case, this is a lot of money for a guy who may not even bring a lot to you down the road. So that's just my only thing. The money is the money. Congratulations to him. If somebody's willing to pay you the money, I mean, obviously he's going to take it because he's not stupid. In clutch sports, they getting their guys paid. So, kudos to him for that. From the Lakers side, a little more iffy until I know all the details.
Yeah, so here's my thing. The money itself isn't the issue to me, right? Because I think we would all agree, when healthy and when engaged, Anthony Davis is one of the better players in the league. He plays at the level to deserve this kind of money, or at least compared to what other people in the league are making. But when I look at the injury history, that's my big concern here. I mean, we talked about this when he signed the initial extension with the Lakers, right? Where that was the big concern, was, can he stay healthy? And then the other thing is, as a fan, I get frustrated with the fact that he's in and out of being locked in. He goes through periods where he is one of the most dominant players on the court, and then he just has times where he just completely disappears. You look at the Denver series. Game 1, he looked unstoppable. We didn't really see much of Anthony Davis the rest of the series. Denver did some things to make that happen, but we all also know that Anthony Davis probably took himself out of it to an extent, because that's what he does. So my thing is, this is a lot of money to extend him out, and I don't know that it made sense to extend him. What I feel like, when Coach talks about he doesn't know if this is a championship roster, what I feel like is the Lakers don't know if this is a championship roster either. But what they do know is they don't have LeBron for very much longer. They don't know if they're going to be able to get a second star to pair with him or not. They were able to take some of those guys like Hachimura and Reeves and sign them out to longer terms, so that they got this window of like 3 or 4 years that they can try to make a run in a championship. And that might mean having to get somebody to replace LeBron. But that's what they're hoping for. By doing this, they're hoping they just gave themselves like 3, 4, 5 years that they can try to make a run at least one more championship. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but I understand why they did it. I'm not crazy about it. If he actually stays healthy, I'll love it. If he does what he's done the last couple of years and keeps getting hurt, I'm not going to be very happy about it.
I feel it. So I got a little bit of breaking news here. So a couple of things, actually. First one is Jeff Okudah, cornerback for the Atlanta Falcons, carted off the field. Had an ankle injury. MRI is going to happen, and then we'll find out the extent of that injury. So one other thing, and then whatever comments you guys have, both of them, just do them together. So also, we did get the suspension for Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
This guy somehow did a whoop that trick on a dude with a security guard, got taped, pled to a lesser charge is only missing 3 games.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. He should have got a damn a year. He should have got a whole year for that. That's ridiculous. Man almost killed the man, and he gets three games off. That's ridiculous.
They would know how Coach Dante feels.
But look, I agree with Coach though, because here's the thing: we talk on this show all the time about how sometimes these punishments are like too harsh, they're ridiculous. This is like the exact opposite. This is the exact opposite. Like, come on, man. We've seen people get suspended more than 3 games for hitting somebody on the field.
That's ridiculous. That is fucking ridiculous. Man get a slap on the wrist with almost killing a dude, him and the crew, and it's clearly on tape. But Ray Rice don't even get a chance to get in the league. He out of the league from just slapping hitting the female on in the elevator. But he's about the league. He's about the league. But Alvin Kamara can get away with almost killing somebody.
But Coach, you just said the key word: a female.
But he almost killed the person.
Not that conversation. Not that.
Steven, he almost killed the person though.
Right.
Yeah.
He almost killed that man.
Right, but my point though, Cole, is it's a perspective, right? People are going to look at it as a lesser thing because it was a dude. I mean, it just is what it is.
Joe Mixon broke a girl jaw. He's still playing football. He broke a female jaw. He's still playing football. He's still up in the league. Ray Rice will still be up in the league.
Joe Mixon said, "Y'all ain't got no tape. Y'all ain't got no video evidence."
So, just to. I had a few more comments here. So Ryan said, "My guy, Coach," and then after that, shaking my head, Rob P, you bugging, giving Mr. Glass that money. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know how Kamara got away with 3 games. I say this all the time when these type of things happen. Boss can tell you, I don't know who he got photos, videos, emails on, but he got some dirt on somebody. He definitely has some dirt on somebody. You know, on our show that we taped on Tuesday and played this morning, I talked about how the NCAA is corrupt, right?
Mm-hmm.
The NFL is the great grandfather of corruptness when it comes to all this stuff, because who you are, your value to the league, what information you have, how your owner goes to the league, and all that depends on what happens to you. There is no way I see that Alvin Kamara should have got 3 games for what he did, right? I understand he pleaded to something else, but again, Coach Dante has expertly placed it out here. We saw it. So if we can't punish you more because we see it, then it's crazy. And I mean, hey, kudos to his team for getting this knocked down to 3 and whoever went to bat for him to make this happen, but it's another dirty stain on the NFL. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to go back real quick, and then I'm going to leave it alone. Colin Kaepernick can't get back in the league for kneeling. Ain't hurt nobody. Mm-hmm. This dude gets 3 games for, like Coach Dante said, almost killing somebody. Trash.
I don't even understand how he got the legal charges dropped down.
He pled.
You clearly saw it on tape.
He pled.
Clearly saw it on tape. And he still gets a slap on the wrist. Still gets a slap on the wrist for almost ending the man's life.
I think he only got probation or something for a plea deal. Yeah. So what the NFL is going to say, of course, this is how they save face. There wasn't any actual charges, just a plea deal. So we could only, punish him based on what we saw.
I mean, there's been a lot of people that ain't been no actual charges against. They got suspended for more than 3 games.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm just saying this is what I think they're gonna say. Like, I completely agree. This is dog trash,
hogwash, tomfoolery, and poppycock. That's what they bring in.
They even went so far as to slide in some haberdashery into this whole affair. So this is ridiculous, and it happens, but there isn't a way to really, justify what they did. But they're gonna try to feed us something when they have a press conference, because that's what the NFL does. And like I said, man, it's a lot of these corrupt organizations that just need to be better, and they're not. And it's disappointing because you come down on certain players, You let certain players get away with things, so there's no consistency. It's just like play calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like play calling in the NFL. Be consistent with things. Be consistent with the punishments. Be consistent with what happens. Just be consistent. And they are the poster child for inconsistency. So very frustrating if you're a fan of these sports with some of the things that you see and that they allow to happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get off my soapbox. Any other thoughts from you guys? Let me get off my soapbox.
There's really nothing else to add, man.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So we had a couple of other things we're going to talk about. So let's drop into some of those. So we have some NFL holdouts. And then also we'll get you guys' thoughts. We'll do this all at once. We'll also get you guys' thoughts on what's going on with the Indianapolis Colts and Jonathan Taylor. Something else that kind of busted out and broke out this week. So we know we've got a couple of guys that are holding out. If any one of those holdouts you guys find interesting, you want to speak on, we'll move it that way. So that way we don't have to talk about all of them if we don't want to, but we can, give a little insight. Coach, we'll start with you.
On the Jonathan Taylor holdout, right?
Well, Jonathan Taylor and then the other contract holdouts, because we've got Bosa is not going, and then we've got the guard for the Cowboys. So, any of those you will talk about.
So for Jonathan Taylor, Jim Irsay is a douchebag for doing what he did. If I'm Jonathan Taylor, I wouldn't want to go back. I wouldn't want to go back there. I'll be looking for it out immediately. But to lie to the public and say the man had a back issue, for the man to come out and say, no, I'm not. I don't have no, ain't nothing wrong with me. That's just crazy. That's just really insane for you to lie to the public like that. So if I was Jonathan Taylor, I'd be done with Jim Irsay at this point, right about now. Now you just got running back Zach Moss. He has a broken arm. So now the running back situation is in trouble at this point. Anthony Richardson kind of left out on a cold a little bit. So who's going to be his running back? Who's going to be in the backfield with them? We don't know to that, but just want to let everybody know that Jim Irsay is a douchebag at this moment. Bosa, I think he's going to get paid at some point. He means a lot. He means a lot for the that's the one that played for the 49ers, right? Yeah. He means a lot to that 49ers defense. He had a great year last year. I believe 16 sacks last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So he definitely deserves what he gets. He's a big part of that defensive line that the San Francisco 49ers. He's going to open it up for Javon Hargraves, So he's the tone setter on that 49ers defensive line. I can see a contract coming for him. And also Cam Jordan was the one that got paid as well. I want to mention him, who are the New Orleans Saints. He's a big part of that defensive line. He is New Orleans. I see him retiring as a Saint. He's been a big part of that defensive line. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I was trying to remember who all is actually holding out. I was trying to look up a quick list. I couldn't find anything updated. But Nick Bosa, I'm not even worried about. We pretty much have always paid people like late July into August. That's when we've renewed all the contracts. Nick Bosa is going to be the highest paid player, defensive player in the NFL before the season starts. The dude takes great care of himself. I'm not worried about him. Josh Jacobs is another guy that is holding out, and I can't really say that I blame him because we talked about it last year. Yeah, Chris Jones as well. But Jacobs is a guy that last year, we talked about how it seemed weird the way they were treating him, and then he goes out, has a great season. They still don't want to pay him. So I don't blame him. I don't blame Jonathan Taylor. When your owner is a drug addict and comes out and says crazy, stupid stuff, why would you want to be there? If I was employed in a situation like that and I had an opportunity to go somewhere else and work and make the same amount of money or more, I definitely would leave too. So I do not blame Jonathan Taylor whatsoever for wanting to get out of that situation. I do not understand what Kansas City's thinking. Chris Jones might be the most disrespected defensive lineman in the league. They constantly keep disrespecting this dude and not wanting to pay him, and I don't understand why, because he is a huge part of why that defense has any level of success whatsoever. As far as the Cowboys, their offensive linemen, I mean, hey, look, I get it. You know, everybody else over there getting paid. You want to get paid too.
Yeah, pretty much. So a couple of people, Danielle Hunter from the Vikings, also in a similar situation. You know, thing is, one interesting thing about Bosa is Bosa's still on his rookie contract, so that means he cannot be fined when he sits out. Josh Jacobs can't be fined for if he sits out all training camp because he never signed his tender. So technically, he's not an active player. So if you're Bosa, if you're Jacobs, you can chill until the end of training camp. You don't have to show up unless you get a deal done. Right. So that's a big bonus for those two guys versus some of the other guys that are under contract because they are being, fined for not showing up. So that's just a little interesting tidbit. But I think the big thing with all these guys, go through each individual player if you wanted to, but the fact of the matter is these guys want to be paid what they're worth, right? When you don't feel like they're worth what they're getting paid, you're quick to get rid of them. So that now that they are worth what they're asking for, you want to not pay those guys. And that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Guys need to get paid. And that's just simply what it is. Now, one other quick question here before we move on. Did anybody watch that farce that they called a football game last night?
I watched it. I paid attention to it.
Any thoughts, Coach, on that?
Yeah, not too. Yeah, too. I got a lot of things from it. I know Dorian Thompson-Robinson was pretty solid in the game.
He did play with. Yeah,
I like that. I like that block that he put on for his running back Melton to score the touchdown. He has heart. He can definitely run the ball. I like the quick slant touchdown that he threw. Also, Cedric Tillman played pretty well when he was in. Played pretty well when he was in the ball game. So he showed some flashes. On the Jets' defensive side of the ball, they were stopping the run really well. Huff made a big play, sacking Kellen Mond, the first drive of the game. Kellen Mond, Dorian Thompson-Robinson outplayed Kellen Mond in this game. Kellen Mond did not look good at all outside of the easy touchdown throw that he had. I thought Dorian Thompson-Robinson definitely solidified himself, probably as the number 2 backup on the Cleveland Browns. For what I saw last night, how the offense flowed better, how he consistently moved the ball down the field. Now he consistently made plays when he needed to, whether it was on his arm and his leg, whether it was on the move. I liked the running back, Felton and Kelly up out of the backfield. That's a pretty good combination, behind Nick Chubb for the number 2 spot and the number 3 spot. So I like the Browns running game. I liked the defense. They played well on defense, but Dorian Thompson-Robinson definitely stood out, and Cedric Tillman was really good for the moments he was in the game.
Yeah, I watched as much as I could handle, and I will say that
I watched the highlights. That's about all I could bring myself to do.
And I will say that Zach Wilson looked better, right?
He looked okay.
There's a lot of talk about the Aaron Rodgers effect and blah blah blah, and that could be, or it could just be that he's been around another year and he's just gotten more developed. He's been spending time in the facilities, learning how to be a quarterback, and less time trying to blame everybody but himself for shortcomings. So that could be a part of it as well. Just throwing an alternative thing out there besides glorifying Aaron Rodgers for everything that happens better on the Jets this season.
Well, I will just throw out there if he learned to stop blaming everyone but himself, he definitely did not learn that from Aaron Rodgers.
That is a fair statement based upon what we know about Aaron Rodgers. He seems to look like a good leader over there with the Jets. He looked like he engaged with a lot of the people when I saw him on the sidelines. He was friendly, smiling. Seems like he enjoys himself so far, but he's getting a lot of free reign. So why wouldn't he enjoy himself, right?
I mean, he's in New York instead of Wisconsin. I mean, that right there should, make him a little happier.
This is true. And also the lineman guys, for those of you who may not be aware, is Zach Martin. That's the right guard from the Cowboys, who is another holdout. Just want to make sure I throw a name out there, just in case someone is not, familiar with the name. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and move it on a little bit here. So got the preview for the NFC and AFC Norths, right? I'm gonna flip things up just a little bit from what we had on the schedule, just to kind of make it make sense here. And we got Big EK Hayes on here. Big E, what's going on? Appreciate you hopping in to watch as well, man. Now, Coach Dante. So, quick thoughts around the WNBA. What has been happening to the WNBA that is you excited about it? Before you go, shout out to Diana Taurasi. I know you're going to talk about it, so shout out to Diana.
Yeah,
I
was for that. Talk about that. Shout out to Diana Taurasi. It's the WNBA all-time leading scorer. She is currently puts on the GOAT status of the WNBA at this moment. They all, not only that she won that range, but they also come into effect of beating, Ryan Howard and the Atlanta Dream by 20, dominating them by 20. So good job by Diana Taurasi last night. And hey, she may be old, but she put it on. She put it on the Atlanta Dream last night. Atlanta Dream definitely did not come to play that game. And that's what happened. You don't take nobody lightly, man. You don't think you can go in now. I don't care what type of record they got. They still all professionals in this league. If you play for a reason, you're a professional. That means you deserve to be in this league. And I think the Atlanta Dream came out. They didn't come out ready to play. They came out, overlooked them. They were a 6-19 team. But those are the type of teams, that plays for pride. They plays hard on the floor with a new interim head coach who's trying to get a look, probably get the job next year, interview back with the job. This is a loss that hurts for the Atlanta Dream. I thought they were kind of one of the hottest teams coming off the All-Star break. They starting to go a little notch down. I think they lost a little too straight. They lost two straight games, and this is one of the whoopings they had got put on. Cheyenne Parker played well last night. Played well, 20 points, 20.7 rebounds. You had Ryan Howard struggle mightily, 4 for 12, 14 points. Was not a good performance last night. Not a good performance. The only 2-3 people was in double figures was Parker, Alicia Gray, and Ryan Howard, but it took Ryan Howard 12 shots to actually get 14 points and 1 for 7 for 3, which means she has a tendency to jack up shots a lot. But other than that, you had Diana Taurasi, 42 points last night. Was insane last night, and she did it on efficient shooting too. She did it on pretty much elite shooting. And guess what? What's so embarrassing, nobody else was in double figures but Diana Taurasi. Nobody else was in double figures but Diana Taurasi.
Coach, I'm waving a white flag. I'm waving a white flag for her.
Nobody else was in double figures. So she had 42 of the 91 points, and that's kind of sickening if you can be a fan of the Atlanta Dream. That's kind of sickening to have for one person to beat you last night. That's kind of unacceptable for your team caliber like the Atlanta Dream. It's kind of embarrassing.
I'm gonna just say this one
like
thing.
We don't got a Dream fan right here.
Hey, I'm gonna say this one thing, and first of all, I want to say I agree with everything Coach Dante just said, and I think he was being nice about it. Honestly, Ryan Howard cannot not show up. This is supposed to be our guy or our lady in the future, and to not show up in this kind of situation is tough. Diana Taurasi owned everybody with a Dream jersey on last night. She was their all-day mama last night. And, sometimes great players have those games where it comes back, right? Because Diana Taurasi is advanced age for an NBA player or a WNBA player. But sometimes you had them games where everything just comes back. And she whooped us. She whooped us thoroughly. There's no excuses. Ain't no refs. Ain't no plays called bad. Tanisha Wright couldn't do anything. Coach Wright could not do anything. That game got out of hand early, and they did not let up. And it's a learning experience for the Atlanta Dream. They're a younger team. Sometimes we had these younger teams, like Coach Dante said, they come out, they're not serious, they're not focusing like they should, and you get beat. And they got beat bad. They got owned. It was embarrassing. But hey, you can't run from it. You know, when you out here, when they win, do it for the dream, baby. When they lose, you gotta say, hey, y'all gotta be better than we have expectations that we not trash no more. You gotta learn. So gotta get better.
Some of those games like that, when you get beat by 20 by a team that don't supposed to beat you at all like that, you want to put some of that on the coaching for having the team not ready. But these players got to go out there and do their damn job. These players got to go out there and put it all on the floor. Put it all on the floor. So people can always say Tanisha Wright, she would just name the coach of the month.
Yeah, she did everything she could. That's what I'm saying. It's not on the coach.
No, it's not on the coach.
The women on the court. Y'all ain't do y'all job.
Make the playoffs. You're in a playoff race, in the thick of a playoff race. You cannot lose games like this. You got to come out and play every night. And this one, I'm not blaming Tanisha Wright for this. These players got to come out and play basketball, and that was unacceptable for one person to be in double figures and win 42 points to turn back like that. That cannot happen at all. If you're going to be a playoff contending team, that cannot happen at all.
Agreed. So we got a couple of comments here from Wild Card. Mar, what's going on, man? What's good with you? So this I love. So this I love. I love. I gotta read this. We get a serious voice for this. Take a breath real quick. Clear my throat. Man, we gotta start embracing women's sport. The arena was only 44% filled to watch DT make WNBA history. Shame. So I will say this: the Dream are one of the few teams that have had like 7+ sellouts this season. A lot of teams are what Mar's talking about every game. You know, we've had kids out for the summer, right? A lot of these cities are big cities that have WNBA teams. Well, we can't take the kids to see, a WNBA game. They're reasonably priced because I understand that that's not the same product as the NBA, so they're reasonably priced. But people are not supporting it, right? We could talk about it all day, but we got to get support for this league. Just make it something you do. Maybe try a game out in the summer, before the season's over. If you care anything about women's sports, just go try to check out a game in your area, right? A couple people do that. Maybe you get there, maybe you like it. Maybe you get there and say, you know what, this ain't for me. It's cool, but at least give it a try. They need support. Appreciate that, Mar. And that's what I like to see, sir. Big ups, big ups. All right, so we have 2 things left to talk about, guys. So we'll do it this way. We'll start with you on this one, Stephen. So we've got the top 25 preseason poll, the ESPN release. We'll use the ESPN one since that was the last one released. Anything up there you see that shocks you, anything that surprises you from this list? We'll still have it so we can go into detail next week, but we'll just kind of skim over real quick because we still got to do our division previews. So any teams that surprised you, how high they were ranked, how low they were ranked, or anything like that. And then, like I said, we'll take time next week and we'll dig into the entire list.
So I really hadn't looked it over that close because I know usually we kind of go through the top 10. So I hadn't really looked at the entire top 25 because I wasn't expecting you to ask that question. But I think for me, it just it varies, right? So when I'm looking at the list that we have, which is actually on Sports Illustrated, but it's a ESPN list. So just looking at the top 10, you got Penn State, you got Notre Dame, you got Clemson, you got USC, Michigan, Texas at 5, LSU at 4, Georgia at 3, Alabama at 2, and Ohio State at 1. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, first of all, just in the top 10, like I don't even have to get into the rest of the list, just at the top 10. What did Texas do to deserve to be a top 10 team? I'm not seeing what Texas has done to deserve to be a top 10 team. What has Alabama done to deserve to be above Georgia? That doesn't even make sense to me. I'm trying to understand how this is the only poll that I've seen so far that doesn't have Florida State in the top 10. Every poll I've seen so far this offseason has had Florida State in the top 10. It's the only one that doesn't. So yeah, there's a couple of these that already just don't even make sense to me. I hope that when the actual rankings come out next week, that they're better than this nonsense.
All right, Coach Dante, what about you? What are your thoughts?
First of all, I just want to say I agree with Steven on my Longhorns. I am a diehard Longhorns fan. If you don't know, I don't think we should be up at number 5. But again, that's the players. That's due, I think, because the players, how many players you do get returned back, and they expecting us to be good in the Big 12, which is like I said, I think we're going to be good. But I think it's always that one game we're going to lose in the Big 12 that we don't supposed to lose. It happens every year, and I think the Alabama game is key to us. The Alabama game is going to be something to watch to see if we really on the same playing field as some of these top tier teams. But like I said again, I've seen it too many times, and again, we always gonna when you get in conference play, that's when things get tight and get really tough. And I think it's almost don't be surprised if we lose a couple of games in the Big 12. Because Texas always find a way to lose a game that they don't supposed to be losing at all. Like last year, Texas Tech, you don't post ain't no word you're supposed to lose to Texas Tech. But other than that, we lost. But that's a conference game. Conference teams know you. They know your playing style. They know how you play. So it's always get tough in any league when you play in conference or anything. It gets tougher right there. LSU had a solid season last year. They had a great season last year with Daniels at the quarterback position. He was a game manager. He did a very good job. They did end up beating Alabama, so they deserve. I'm okay with them. I'm okay with LSU being number 4. Now Georgia they still got some of those guys back. Only thing about the quarterback situation, they lost the running back Kenny McIntosh, I believe, to the Seattle Seahawks in the draft. I believe they lost him, but they still got Brock Bowers back. They still got They still got some key weapons back. They did lose AD Mitchell to my Longhorns. That's a key loss to them as the receiver position, but I feel like they should still be number 1. Their defense is going to always keep them in certain spots, keep them in the game, and their offense is going to find a way to get it going at this moment. Now Alabama quarterback situation until they got that Notre Dame quarterback who's very inconsistent though. That's the only thing I worry about is the quarterback situation in Alabama. I don't trust their situation, and I don't know how is TCU this high. I don't know how is they that high at number 2 up here. I don't know how they that high. So it's a lot of questions I got in the top 10, but I definitely don't think my Longhorns will stay number 5 for a while. I definitely don't. I believe Michigan. I believe Michigan should be much higher, to be honest, because they got a lot of people coming back. Corum, Donovan Wilson, McCarthy. Their defense is going to be solid. So I think Michigan should be up there.
Fair enough. So Wildcard Mar says he thinks preseason rankings are based off potential and where the recruiting class is ranked. They dookie. He hates the rankings.
I agree. I mean,
so
for years they didn't get rid of them.
I don't disagree, but hey, at least it gives us something about college football we can discuss. And then great thing that I like to do compared to the real rankings, so we can see how far off these last off-season rankings are from the actual rankings once the rankings start. So just a little something to check out. I think y'all pretty much said a lot of the points that there are to be made. There's always a couple of teams that are higher than they should be, so it is what it is. All right, so last topic. We're going to be doing the division reviews for the NFC North and the AFC North. So I just need a minute to pull this information up. All right, here we are. So we'll start with the NFC North, of course. We always start with our NFC team. That's how we do. And this week we'll start at the bottom. So the bottom of the North, Last year in the NFC, we had the Chicago Bears. So, Coach, we'll start with you, and Boss, we'll go to you. Your thoughts on the Bears, what we're going to see from the Bears this year, and where you think they'll finish.
I got them Bears in third place in the division. I think they win 8, 9 games in the division. I think they win 8 or 9 games. Got them probably 8 and 9, third in the division. Still got some questions about their secondary, about their defense. Their defense was one of the worst in the league last year. Eddie Jackson is a bright spot. Jaquan Brisker definitely is a bright spot for them. Linebacking core, Jack Subborn, he's a little bit of a bright spot, but outside of that, their secondary and their defense is not as good. Now they will improve on the offensive side of the ball. They will improve on the offensive side of the ball with DJ Moore, who's a solid receiver. You do have a backup running back in Roshan Johnson who's going to come in and alternate, and it should be a bigger year by Khalil Herbert. Now that he's the number one running back. They signed their tight end back Cole Clement. If he can prove me wrong, I will come out and say it. But I'm not a big fan of Finding Nemo, aka Chase Claypool. I'm not a big fan of him. He hasn't been good since his rookie year, so I'm not a big fan of him. It'll be interesting to see how Darnell Mooney comes off of the injury that he had last year. He was no more than a number two wide receiver. He was basically their number one receiver before he got hurt. So Justin Fields should be improved. The offensive line should be improved. They did draft a lineman in Darrell Wright, but I still don't think it will be good enough to overtake Detroit and Minnesota. I got them in third place. Their defense, they're going to struggle on the defensive side of the ball, and it'll be interesting how improved this offensive line will be. Is the offensive line is really improved, or it's just you're going to see Justin Fields just running for his life? But he does have the capable weapons this year to be able to step back and pass pass it more. It just depends on how his offensive line hold up. They should be able to run the ball effectively. Now, Khalil Herbert is the number one running back in the backfield. So I got them in third place in the division.
Yeah, I've actually got them in third also. And in addition to Herbert, I like the fact that they had some insurance behind him. They went out and signed Deonta Foreman as well as Travis Homer. So they've actually got a little depth at running back. So they, can even, bring those guys in and out, keep them fresh. So I like the fact that you're not going to have to ask Justin Fields to basically be your running back this year as well. I think that's going to help him stay healthier. It's going to help him stay in. They're also, I think, going to open up the offense a little bit more this year. They went out. DJ Moore was a huge ad. Like you said, if Mooney can come back healthy, that actually lets Chase Poole move to the third receiver position. And I like him a lot better as a third receiver than him trying to go out there and be a number one or a number two. So I think it really does help them a lot. Like you said, they already brought back their tight end. The offensive line, they did work on it. Obviously, still needs a lot of help. That defense, they did add some pieces, but there's still a lot of holes. There's not a lot of depth on that side of the ball. So they're not a team that I think is there yet. But I do think that they will finish in third in this division.
I'm in agreement with you guys. They'll be third, I think, in this division. I do expect improvement this year on both sides of the ball. Eberflus is in one of those situations where he's going to need to show what he's about. And I think this is a perfect situation to do so. Obviously, more is needed to kind of climb more up the ladder. But I do believe this is a team that will finish in third place in this division. And then above them last year, first time in a long time, the Green Bay Packers did not win the division. They were in third place at 8-9. Boss, we'll start with you this time. Your thoughts on the Green Bay Packers and where you have them this season?
Well, for me, I think that the Green Bay Packers are going to do something that they also haven't done in a while, which is not win the division twice. Because I've actually got them dead last in this division this year. Look, maybe Jordan Love has fooled me. Maybe Jordan Love is an absolute beast that we just are sleeping on. But I just can't forget about the way he looked the last time I saw him on the field. He was horrible. I just do not think that he's going to be the guy that's going to get them over the top. I love their young receiving core. I love their running game. Their offensive line isn't like great, but it's not terrible either. and they've got a pretty solid defense. If they could get good quarterback play, I would probably put them at third. Maybe they could even move up to second with really good quarterback play. But I don't think they're going to get good quarterback play. I've got them finishing dead last in this division.
Coach?
Well, I got them finishing something they haven't finished in a long time, and that's what Steven said. That is dead last. I don't think the Packers will be very good at all. Jordan Love, the last time I seen him play was, I believe, against the Philadelphia Eagles. He kind of came in and gave him a little bit spark, but it was already too late. That was due to Jonathan Gannon playing zone defense the whole time and people running wide open, running free up the middle of the field. So if you see a wide open receiver, you're supposed to look like that. You're supposed to look like that. He threw the ball like he was just playing 7-on-7 football. That's just how it was. So other than that, I got to see what Jordan. I'm not going to say he's going to be trash. He's going to be good. I'm not going to say he's going to be good either. I got to see him for this year. But against the Chiefs, he didn't look good when he got the full game start. When you seen him start a full game, he didn't look well. It wasn't too good. It wasn't too good when you got him to see the full game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's a true evaluation for him. When you saw him play a full game, it didn't look good. He didn't look like he's supposed to be out there as a quarterback. Now, Christian Watson, can he improve? Has he improved on his game since last year? He came on strong late last year. He has a drop issue. He's got to fix that. He's got to stop catching the ball with his body. Romeo Doubs looked very promising out there in training camp. He looks very promising. So I like him. Jaden Reed is going to be huge also. Huge also in the passing game, the rookie out of Michigan State. I'm also been impressed with Luke Musgrave. He's having a very good training camp. So other than that, like Steven said, their offensive line is not great. They're not terrible though. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Aaron Jones too to carry the load out of the backfield in the running game. AJ Dillon, they're going to have to rely if they want to win games. If they want to win games, they're going to have to run the ball a lot to open up play action, to open up the passing game. Their defense is going to be competitive. They got the best corner. And they got the best corner in the league to me and Jair Alexander. They lost a big safety too, though. Amos is going to be a huge loss for them at the safety position. Their defense is going to be more competitive, but I don't think this team will be very good on the offensive side. And I don't see Jordan Love being crazy good. So this team is going to definitely finish something they haven't finished in a while, and that is dead last in the NFC North.
Well, we're 3 for 3 on this one as well. I definitely feel like they're going to finish at the bottom for all the reasons you guys said. And also, when you take a guy like Aaron Rodgers, we can say what we want. People can say what they want about Aaron Rodgers, how he plays, personality, all that stuff. He's old in his career. This guy's not going to come in and do what Aaron Rodgers did when he came in for Brett Favre, right? It's going to be a drop-off. It's going to take some time to adjust. They don't have the veteran weapons in the passing game to help the youngsters along. So it's going to be some growing pains there. Defensively, they've never been great. They've been really good at times, but never great. So I don't see this defense that they have as being a great defense. Probably just another one of those really good 10, somewhere between 10 and 15 ranked defenses. So a lot would be needed from the ground game, as Coach Dante said. And I just feel like while they can win some games, I think the Bears are going to take a big step this year. And I still see them as, at the bottom of the division. It's crazy. A team that's perennially won his division and made people kind of almost have an argument that Green Bay's in one of the easiest divisions in football consistently. It's not so easy for them anymore. All right, and then we have the second place team in the NFC North, the Detroit Lions. So I'll start off the Detroit Lions talk. I'll make it fast. Detroit was surprisingly good last year. Only lost one of their main receivers. He went to the Panthers, so a lot of the same weapons offensively are there. They do have some suspended players for a couple of games due to the whole betting scandal thing, so that could affect them. But I think that they're going to be able to do something that the Lions have not done in a long time, and I'm actually going to put them first in the division for this upcoming season. I'm going to allow Coach a little bit of time because he likes to give that great breakdown. So, Coach, tell us what your thoughts are on the Lions and where you think they'll finish.
I actually got them in second place, but I still got them making the playoffs. I actually still got them making the playoffs as a wild card at 10-7. I still got them actually making the playoffs, and you're not getting an argument out of me if they finish. If you say they're going to go first in the division, they're a good team. They're very improved. CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to help their secondary a lot. They got some secondary pieces, and CJ, and they got Cam Sutton. Cam Sutton as well is definitely going to help them coming from Pittsburgh. You also have Aiden Hutchinson, who played last year, who was good, very good last year. That defensive line is very underrated. They can get pressure on the quarterback, actually. But the big step is on the offensive side of the ball, how Jared Goff been looking. And his 2 years has been underrated. I know he was the scapegoat, in Los Angeles and against the Rams. He did take them to a Super Bowl. But then again, like I say, they got Matthew Stafford and they turned out to win the Super Bowl, but that does not mean he was the scapegoat of the team of that problem. But that's basically the Rams saying that he was basically the scapegoat of the squad by them trading him away. But he was able to keep his career afloat with a good 2 years, man, in Detroit. In Detroit, he definitely had one last year. Amon St. Brown is a beast, man. That dude can get open in space. You got Khalif Raymond, who's really good. Jamison Williams, if he can stay out of trouble at times, he can be something very good. And also, man, like I say, man, I think this team is going to be very scary. I think they're going to put up points. And they also got an underrated running back in Montgomery. Montgomery is a guy that ran behind a terrible offensive line and still got over 800 yards of rushing from that pitiful Bears offensive line. He's going to be something. He's going to be something to watch with a better offensive line. But that receiving core is going to be something to watch. Him and Jahmyr Gibbs, though. Him and Jahmyr Gibbs should be a very good tandem in the backfield alone. Jahmyr Gibbs, you got him coming out of the backfield, running as a receiver as well. You got multiple options with Jahmyr Gibbs. So this team is going to be fun to watch. They can score points on the offensive side of the ball, especially with Jared Goff looking like that. This team's going to put up a lot of points. They're going to be able to put up a lot of points. And that defense is also can come up with some stops when they need to be competitive. And that head coach, Dan Campbell, love that guy. Love that guy energy, his poise on that team. That's something what Detroit definitely needed. So got them in second in place, but I got them in a wild card. I do actually got them making the playoffs at 10-7, but I will not be surprised if they win that division too, because they're that good. They're that equal. They're that good now to Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with Cole here. I've got them winning this division. I think that when I look at this team, they've been on the rise the last couple of years. I remember when Dan Campbell went there, we were all like, oh, what are they doing, man? Where are they hiring this guy? But turns out he was a great hire. He's been exactly what they need. He brings a lot of energy into it. Coach really nailed a lot of why the offense is going to be so good. But I'm going to give you two names on why this defense could go from pretty good to really good, and that is Emmanuel Mosley and CJ Gardner-Johnson. That secondary is getting two really good players. Emmanuel Mosley would have been back in San Francisco as the starter this year if he hadn't torn his ACL and someone didn't step up and play really well in his place. That's the only reason he didn't come back and why he got a chance to go over here to Detroit. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this secondary, especially because that pass rush up front can get home, can put pressure on the quarterback, and it's going to make that secondary's life even easier. And so now that you got two guys back there that both know how to go after the football, could get real interesting.
All right. So we'll go ahead and put Wildcard Mars list up here. So he has Lions first, Vikings second, Packers third, Bears fourth. So he switched for me and Steven. He switched the Bears and Packers. And then he's with Coach Dante on the Lions and Vikings. So, I mean, no, he switched the Lions and Vikings for Coach Dante. Excuse me, I got that backwards in my head. So we'll go on to the team that won the division last year. Obviously, don't have them win a division this coming season. I'll tell you why. I'll make it very simple. I don't believe in Dwight Dak Prescott as a guy that can elevate his team another year. He does have great weapons in Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison is going to be able to be the number 2 wide receiver here. He looks to be the starter on the right side. KJ Osborne is a guy who started on the right some, but now he's going to be able to get into the slot. I love when you have a guy who can really be like a low end, possibly, or a medium number 2 and he gets to slide down to be that number 3 because that gives him the ability to kind of run more routes, get open more, and not have as much focus and pressure on him from the outside corners. Those guys normally have good seasons. The line, some good players, some question marks. That's nothing new. TJ Hawkinson at tight end is really good. But here's where we get to it. Alexander Madison, I think, is a really good backup spot starter. They're banking that he can be a 18 or 17, maybe 19 week, depending on how deep they try to go in the playoffs, game back. That's not something that we've seen from him before. So there's question marks there. Then you don't really have a guy that's a veteran behind him. So that running back room is a little shaky. And Kirk Cousins, as your quarterback, you need a strong running game to allow him to do play action. So I feel like they're going to take a step back. They're going to really miss the guy that they got rid of. Sometimes you pay a guy or you keep a guy because of what he does for your offense. They didn't do that this time, and I think they're really going to suffer for it. They have Jordan Hicks on linebacker on defense. Harrison Smith at safety. Cameron Bynum they got a couple of years ago. He's been playing pretty well for them. Corners, they've grabbed a guy, Mekhi Blackman this year. Last year they grabbed a guy, Caleb Evans. So those are going to be the guys that look to be the starters there. Byron Murphy, unrestricted free agent from Arizona. And I don't think we want to look at Arizona and be like, oh, this is such a great team. We really need a lot of players from Arizona, but he's going to be their starting nickelback right now. So this team has talent on offense, but there's 2 positions that you really need. It's running back, question marks, and then we always have to have question marks when we're talking about Kirk Cousins. So I think that's going to drop them down to the second team this coming season. I think 11 games can win this division. I think the Lions will be that team that gets 10, 11 wins and wins the division.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this team, right, the defense is concerning to me because, especially if you end up not getting Hunter to sign, if you end up having to trade him or whatever the case ends up being, that is a hit that this defense cannot really afford to have. That to me is going to be the big question mark with this team is the defense, and it was last year. When I look at the offense, look, Madison, like you said, he's a good backup running back. He's not the guy. You're not going to get what Dalvin Cook gave you. You're just not. So to me, that was a big mistake that they made. I mean, yes, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Addison, KJ Osborne. You've got really good receivers, but you got Kirk Cousins throwing in the football. And what you're telling me is you are getting rid of your all-pro, do-it-all running back, and you're putting the wish version of him into your offense, which tells me that you are basically going to depend on Kirk Cousins to carry this year. And that, to me, is a terrible, terrible idea. So I actually think the Vikings are going to take a step back this year. And the only reason they're going to finish even second in this division is because the Bears are going to need another couple years to really finish putting the roster together. That's the only reason that the Vikings even going to finish second.
All right, so we'll go to the AFC North. We'll start at the bottom with the Browns. Stephen, we'll go back to you. Where do you have the Browns in the division this season?
This is an interesting division. This might be the toughest division to predict. I like their defense, right? Overall, they've got a solid defense. I thought they were going to be much better last year than what they ended up being statistically. But I think so much of that was the struggles of the offense. I feel that Deshaun Watson this season is going to really kind of take a step up. And he's going to get back to playing like Deshaun Watson. And they got some good weapons out there. I think they're going to be a much improved team. Unfortunately for them, they are playing against the Ravens and the Bengals in this division. So I think they'll be better than the Steelers, but I got them going third. Even though I expect them to have a good season.
Okay. Coach, what about you?
Well, I 1,000% agree with Steven. The last thing the league want to see, and every quarterback in the league and every defense want to see, is Deshaun Watson to get back to the Houston way. That's the last thing I think teams will actually want to actually see, because people keep forgetting how good this goddamn dude was in Houston. I was the only one that can know that myself. The way he carried garbage can wide receivers coming off the street and still be throwing 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. If he was even in a playoff hunt or had a winning year, that's MVP status numbers right there. But other than that, I like the receiving core. I love the receiving core. He's got way better receivers than we ever had. You know, Amari Cooper, you know, you got Tillman, who I think that's going to be good on that roster. That's going to be good on that roster out of the preseason from last night. Cedric Tillman from the rookie out of Tennessee. You also have Elijah Moore coming over from the New York Jets, and you also gonna have Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's gonna have a step up year. He can also return punts and kicks as well. And you got the demon in the backfield, Nick Chubb. You got the demon in the backfield, Nick Chubb, and also Deshaun Watson. It could be an extension of the run game. He could tuck it and run, which will make it harder for defenses to game plan for it, which is you want to try to stack the bots and try to stack Nick Chubb, or stack it up for Nick Chubb, or Deshaun Watson could just keep the ball. So that's works very good in this style of play. He's going to better elude the pocket, give some receivers time to get open. Was one of the best at doing that, but this defense should be improved. I mean, you have one of the top safeties corners in Denzel Ward. You have a beast on a defensive line in Myles Garrett. So I like this team. This team, don't be surprised if this team can be in second place in the division behind Joe Burrow in the Cleveland. Joe Burrow, don't be surprised, but I'm going to be safe. I'm going to go third, but I do think they finished winning record wise. Though, at 9 or 10 wins. But don't be surprised if they finish second behind Cincinnati, because they could be that good if Deshaun Watson is with a full season, full training camp, come back himself, 90% of himself, or even 80% of himself. Houston Texans. Don't be surprised when you see if you see.
Sir, I wouldn't be surprised because they're going to be second.
Yeah, there you go.
They're going to be second. Zadarius Smith, don't forget they got Zadarius Smith on that team now. Cornerbacks, Martin Emerson Jr.
I love Martin Emerson. I love him.
I like him. And then Greg Newsome, the second, the nickelback, right? And then at safety, Juan Thornhill, unrestricted free agent from Kansas City.
Yep.
He looks to be taking over for Rodney McLeod. So he's coming already and looks to be taking over from Rodney McLeod, who earlier in the offseason on one of the depth charts I saw was the starter there, but he's also on that team, good veteran presence as well. So I'm going with this team. The only question I have is behind Nick Chubb, but I like Demetric Felton Jr.
He played good last night. He was great.
Yeah, he played, and I think he's going to end up being the guy that's going to be that number 2. And as long as you got that other back, because Nick Chubb is another one of those backs, the way he plays, sometimes he gets nicked up and misses a game or two. Oh, but he makes up for it in the stats when he does play. He definitely makes up for it. So, yeah, I got them being number 2 in this division, with the Bengals being the only team that's going to be better than them. So I'm going out on a limb here a couple of times. I don't mind doing it. All right.
I mean, it's not a very tiny limb that you're going out on, though, to be fair.
Hey, man. There's a lot of people saying the Browns are going to be better than the Ravens and right up under the Bengals. So, hey, So next up, based on last year's schedule, wins and losses, we've got the Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'll be quick. Steelers are a great team, but it has to come to an end at some point. I think this is the year they may dip under 500, being 8-9, but I think it still would be okay having 8 wins. Now that we have the extra game, of course, it can't be 500. You have to either be over or under. But I think this may be the year that they have 7 or 8 wins. Could be a rebuilding year, a year for them to just kind of get things together. They did look to be a little bit better than I anticipated them being last year, but there has to come a point where no matter how great the greatness of Mike Tomlin as a coach is, everything just kind of falls back a little bit to catch back up. And I think it's going to be this year. I'm not saying that they don't have great players on the team, but there has to come a time where just, based on what everyone else in the division is doing, you just lose a couple of those games that you normally win. Think about Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Allen Robinson. That's the 3 starting wide receivers. It's a pretty solid wide receiver core, right? Najee Harris. But then again, behind Najee Harris, who do you have? And Najee Harris, good years, some not so impressive years. Then you look at quarterback room, Kenny Pickett. I still kind of we'll see about him. Mitch Trubisky, if something goes wrong with him, and then Mason Rudolph. None of those names give me any confidence really in that position. Like defense, we don't have to go through the defense on this team. We know that this team is always putting out a high quality defense. The one name I'll mention is Joey Porter Jr. looks to have cracked the starting lineup in left corner, though he did get housed by George Pickens, but there was nothing he would have been able to do. He played great defense on that play. So I think Pittsburgh does fall to the last spot in the division next season, but I think it's very close. Coach, what's your thoughts?
You know what? I'm gonna go bold here, right here. I'm gonna say 8-8-1.
Okay.
That's the team that always finish with a tie. That's the team that always finish with a tie. They always find a way to finish with a tie. Would not shock me if they go, like you said, 8-9. Would not shock me at all. But that team is always going to find a way to tie with someone, no matter who it is. But I'm going to go 8-1. Still think he keeps his winning season alive. No losing seasons alive. Matter of fact, they're going to always find, even regardless of how bad you may think they are, they may be. You may be thinking Baltimore them is probably beyond better at this point. They always find a way to compete with these guys in the division because of that defense is going to always find a way to keep them in ball games. With Watt, TJ Watt on the defensive side of the ball. You have Hayward as well. You have Hayward as well on that side. You have Mika Fitzpatrick at the safety position. They're going to always figure out a way to keep that offense in the game. Even when that offense is struggle, now they're going to have to run the ball with Najee Harris. They're going to have a consistent running game for Kenny to keep Kenny Pickett from turning the ball over a lot because he had issues with turnovers. He had issues pushing the ball down the field. Sometimes it resulted in, the George Pickens getting upset, not being able to get the ball. So now Keontae Johnson, he's got to be more of that number one receiver that they're looking for. He still had 800 plus yards last year, but I think he's got to have to increased his game better than that. Now, this is going to be a breakout year for Pat Freiermuth as well, that tight end who broke out late last year. So this is going to be a big stepping stone from him as well. So I see this team finishing in fourth place, but I see it finishing with a respectable 8-1 year because I think it's always going to be a tie. They're going to find a way to get into a tie with somebody.
Yeah, when I look at this Pittsburgh team, it's a team that, if we look back last year, right, they were 2-6 at one point, and they came out of the bye. They had some easier games, a little bit softer schedule. They also won a couple of really close games, one against a Baltimore team that didn't have Lamar Jackson. So when I look at this team, I'm like, which one are they? Are they the team we saw at the beginning of the last year? Or are they the team we saw at the end? They're probably somewhere kind of in between the two, right? But this is a team that, they have pieces. They have some good wide receivers, which you need for a young quarterback. They have a good running game, which you need. They obviously have great coaching, and they got some pieces on defense. But I'm looking at the fact that you are playing not just in what might end up being the toughest division in football this year, but on top of that, you also have to go against the NFC West this year. So to me, that is just going to be a brutal schedule for this Pittsburgh team that has more question marks, quite frankly, than everybody else in the division. So I got them finishing dead last. I don't think they're going to be horrible. I think they'll still find a way to win 8 games, but I have them finishing dead last in the division.
All right. And of course, next we have the Baltimore Ravens. Do or die year for Baltimore. Baltimore has the receivers. We've a lot of people have defended Lamar. He hasn't had the receivers in the past and blah blah blah. Doesn't have all of the defense that he's had in the past, but that's kind of the trade-off, right? Lost a little bit on the defensive side, but you gained some weapons. So this is a year where we're going to see what Lamar Jackson truly is. I think they're going to be third place this year. I think that they're going to take a little bit of a step back. They still can make the playoffs in third out of this division. because I think this division can have 2 teams, make the playoffs. I don't think that's far-fetched. There is another division that can have 2 teams as well. We know we're not going to get 2 teams out of the South. So as long as the Chargers keep charging, they definitely have an opportunity to be a playoff team in 3rd place. But I digress. The Ravens, I think, are going to just maintain status quo. Let's say that. Maybe around 9-10 wins. And with the Browns elevating and getting double-digit wins, I think they're going to do. I think they're just going to be just outside of being that second team, or a tiebreaker will be that difference maker. And I think they're going to end up in 3rd place. And Stephen, what about you?
So the biggest move that the Baltimore Ravens made this season was not in getting wasn't any player they brought in, wasn't anything they added from that standpoint. It was who they got rid of, and that is Greg freaking Roman. Everyone who watches the show knows how I feel about Greg Roman. Dude is a dumpster fire. I feel like he held Lamar Jackson back. I'm excited because they're going to open up this offense, and we're going to get to see Lamar actually be able to drop back and throw the football. And Cool and I both know, because, he played at Louisville, which is an ACC. We both saw him. We both played against him. We know how good that dude was throwing the football in college. And I know a lot of people, that's college, is different, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, that dude can throw the football. And people have doubted his throwing ability for his entire career because of the offense that he's been played in under Greg Roman. I think they're going to open up this offense. The only thing I think is going to potentially hurt them a little bit is they have a first-time play caller at the NFL level, right? I mean, yes, he's called plays before. He at least has some experience as offensive coordinator, but this is going to be his first year coming in at the NFL level, unless I'm mistaken, and really kind of getting the feel for that. So it's going to take some time for him to tweak his offense, make it fit the NFL, make it fit Lamar, let them get that figured out. So I think that's going to hurt them. Otherwise, I would actually pick them to win this division because I think their defense is going to be really, really good. But I'm going to pick them second only because I think there's going to be that adjustment period for their offense before it can start clicking.
All right. So, Coach Dante, we'll have you give us your Ravens thoughts, and then you can go ahead and start the Bengals conversation as well.
All right, so the only reason I'm banking on them to be healthy, banking on them to be in second, is Lamar Jackson health when he's on the field and his impact on the field. But it's also a reason that you can put him in third because of his health as well. If he doesn't play, it definitely has an impact on how the squad plays. Rashad Bateman doesn't stay healthy at all. He has a ton of potential, but that's the problem. He has potential, but he doesn't be on the field. He doesn't play on the field all the time. Now, you did get some receiver help in Zay Flowers, and you got Odell Beckham, but how is he going to come back off of his ACL injury? I know he's doing what he got to do in training camp and doing well. J.K. Dobbins can't stay on the field. He is another guy that can't stay on the field, that only played in 8 games last year, had 520 yards. That was good for 8 games, but when he gets hurt, he got hurt last year. That's the problem. He can't stay on the field. Now, this defense, they have to play pretty. They're going to be pretty good. They're going to be competitive. You have Kyle Hamilton, who's one of the best safeties last year, one of the best rookie safeties last year, or probably one of the best safeties last year. He wasn't just one of the best rookie safeties. He was probably one of the best safeties in the league last year as a rookie. You also have Humphreys as well. Also have Marlon Humphrey. The defensive line can get a pass rush, but the only reason I got him in second because when Lamar Jackson is on the field, he does make an impact on how that team is playing. He is a winning quarterback when they on the actual football field. When he doesn't play and when he's hurt, the team is not near the same. Now, Todd Monken coming in is definitely going to help him out. And I just get tired of the narrative that he couldn't throw He can't throw the football. He's a quarterback for a reason. He's shown spurts that he can throw the football. He can put it on the money. He can throw it. He's got a very good arm. Yes, sometimes he has trouble putting the ball where it's supposed to be, but what quarterback doesn't have that trouble? Every quarterback has it at certain points in games. So other than that, he was an MVP for a reason, not just running, passing as well. Don't care how you do it, how you slice it up. I don't care if it's short. If the person is open, you're going to throw it to that person. You're going to hit the open wide receiver. That's just the point of it. But other than that, I got them in second place in a wild card position. I think it's two teams coming up out of this division. Possibly, you don't be surprised if you can get a third team like the Cleveland Browns, but I think it's actually going to be two of those teams coming up out of this division. But in the Cincinnati Bengals, I got them going in first place. I think they're selling for me as 12-5. I think they can win 12 games this year. Joe Burrow is going to probably be almost the highest paid quarterback in the league. He's up for a contract extension as well. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, they got to make a decision on what they're going to do on T. Higgins. They're going to have to probably sacrifice him because they got to pay Joe Burrow. So they're going to definitely sacrifice him to pay Joe Burrow. And I would definitely agree with it because you want to get your quarterback taken care of, and you still got capable enough weapons to go to an AFC Championship or a Super Bowl. But one person that I think that's going to be a sleeper, if T. Higgins leave, is going to step in, Charlie Jones. You forgot they drafted Charlie Jones out of Purdue. He's going to actually be a sleeper for when T. Higgins depart, which is I think he's going to depart. He could be a guy that can step in. Tyler Boyd is a quiet, underrated player, underrated receiver. He's a quiet guy. You got Joe Mixon taking a pay cut, said he'd come out and said he would take a pay cut. He would take a pay cut. So that's good for him. He's going to be able to run the football effectively. He had some injury issues last year. This defense, not great, but they're good enough. They lost Jesse Bates, their top tier safety. You have Daxton Hill. Daxton Hill's probably is going to be a replacement. They're still going to be a competitor on the defensive side of the ball, but they're not a great defense, but they're still going to do enough to win games.
All right. And just going to hit the comments here real quick. So we got Philly with a good evening, Philly. Appreciate you watching. Wild Card Mars says the AFC North is going to be brutal. I agree. I think it's going to be that division that we thought the West was going to be last year. Wild Card Mars also says he's got Bengals first, Ravens second, Browns third, Steelers fourth. Okay, so same as y'all, a little different from mine. It's all good. Sometimes I like being on the island, right? It makes me feel tropical. All right, so then he says Lamar might mess around and get another MVP this year. I'm going to have to say nah on that one, but he could have another MVP caliber season. That he could, because he does have weapons for once, and he does have a better OC. And then, correction, Monken was OC in Cleveland in 2019 and Tampa in 2016, 2018. All right, so I want to make sure we got the rest of the comments in. So, Steven, talk to us about the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I'll keep this real short and simple. Offensively, the offensive line, again, looks like it should be better. Right? We said that last year, and then it really wasn't any better, at least not the first half of the season. But they're continuing to move pieces around, make tweaks there, doing what they can to try to get some protection for Joe Burrow. But even if the offensive line doesn't play up to what they're hoping they do, Joe Burrow showed that he's willing to just chuck the ball up there to those receivers and let them go make plays. And those guys have shown that they can reward him for doing so. So I think offensively, they're going to be fine. The big question mark for me with this offense is at some point, you're going to need Joe Mixon to show up and actually play up to the caliber where he's able to, because you're going to need to create balance in this offense if you want to be able to compete, because this isn't really just about the division, right? This is a team that expects to go to the AFC Championship game, hopefully make it back to the Super Bowl. So you better start figuring out how you're going to run the football, because there's going to be somebody comes along that's going to make passing the football hard on you. And if you can't run, you're going to be in trouble. So that's a concern within that on that side. Defensively, I think Coach said it best. their defense is solid. They're not great. No one is scared of this defense. They'll make plays when they need to. They're going to play like a bend don't break style, but no one is actually scared of this defense. But I think that they have enough weapons on this offense that they're going to win this division.
So I'll make things even simpler than that. Coach Dante is right. Steven's also right. This is one of the 3 best teams in the AFC. They're going to win this division. The 2 teams that would give them a run for being the top teams in the AFC are not in their division. They are going to definitely win this division and be a contender. Them making the AFC Championship game in the Super Bowl is possible. Matchups and health is going to determine a lot of that. With that being said, good people, any last words, Coach Dante, before we get out of here for the evening?
Yeah, I want to bring up something for the NFL right quick. Just give y'all a quick update on the training camp. You have out of Tennessee, you have Will Levis getting most of the second team reps over, a certain guy. Malik Willis, he's got most of the second team reps, and he's been pretty solid on the second team. So it's good that you can hear a good report out of a quarterback in Tennessee, and that is helping happily to be Will Levis getting most of the second team reps. Nothing special. He's going to be behind definitely Ryan Tannehill. Quentin Johnston continues to look impressive in training camp for the Chargers. For the Chargers, he continues to look impressive. He's going to be the torch passer towards Keenan Allen when Keenan Allen is down. So look for that wide receiving core for the Chargers to be solid with him, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen. And also, like I told my boy Cool McCain, CJ Stroud is cooking. He got 1,000% of the reps today in training camp, and he didn't look bad. He was cooking today. So that's the news and reports of training camp. And Xavier Hutchinson also, be looking out for him for my Texans. He's been very good at training camp as well.
Fair enough. Any last words, Steve?
Hey, I'm just going to tell y'all, in addition to joining us here on Friday nights, make sure y'all hit us up Friday mornings too. 99.1 FM in Atlanta. If you Google it, it's WDJMY.com. I think it's the thing. But if you just 99.1 Atlanta, if you Google search that, it will come up for you. So you can check us out on the internet too. That's Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, come show us some love there too.
And not much left for me to say. Make sure y'all tune in next week. Make sure you tell 2 of your friends and 4 of your enemies, because just because they don't like you doesn't mean they won't like us. And with that being said, we'll holler at y'all next week. Let's get it.